Our friends at the Western Standard Online are hosting a CPC, Conservative Party of Canada leadership contest. And in some ways, it's anticlimactic because I think one of the clashes that people expected would be Poilievre versus Brown. Well, Brown is out of it for now. And I understand that Poilievre is ducking the debate again. On the one hand, David, I could understand why someone who's such a front runner would say, I'm not going to go to the debate. I've already been to a couple. I don't want to go to any more because there's no upside for me. Party members already like me. I'm controlling my message by doing these prepared videos straight to the internet. There's no reason I would go just to be a punching bag. I'm going to do my own thing. So I understand that from his own point of view. However, from a news point of view and a party member point of view, they probably would like to see more cut and thrust. It also is sort of a power move saying, I don't need to be there. I feel like I'm going to win. Let's just get over this whole preliminaries and assume I'm going to win. Now, I think there is some sense to that. If the membership sales numbers, as reported in the media, are accurate, Poilievre sold over 300,000, twice as much as Patrick Brown himself claims to have done, and most likely an insurmountable number. And that seems to ring true because, as you know, David, when Pierre Poilievre would do events, they were very large. In Calgary, where I am today, he did an event over 5,000 people. That's unusual, especially in the springtime, summertime, to get that many people out. I admire many of the other candidates. I have an affection for Roman Baber. His principled, thoughtful, even lawyerly opposition to the lockdowns when he was an MPP in Doug Ford's government, I think was really the best performance of any lockdown skeptic in the country. It was reasoned, it was calm, it was scientific, it was thoughtful. And the fact that he was thrown out by Doug Ford is an eternal disgrace on Ford. Of course, I'm a sentimental fan of Leslyn Lewis, who I think is a wonderful part of the Conservative Party. There are some other candidates. I think Jean Charest, I got to say this, Jean Charest is a red Tory. He used to be a liberal, and he supports things that rock-ribbed conservatives don't. That said, David, I got to tell you, I'm glad he's in the race. I think he and Pierre Poilievre are bashing each other pretty hard, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Let the party have a good, hearty debate now and really decide who it is. I think the problem with the previous two leaders, Aaron O'Toole and Andrew Scheer before him, is that they wanted to be all things to all people, and they actually flip-flopped and tricked people afterwards. Let us decide what the party stands for by having party members truly vote and have clear choices. So I do not begrudge Jean Charest his candidacy. I don't think he's going to win. And frankly, I don't think he's going to run if he doesn't win. But I like the fact that he wanted to run, and I actually find myself liking him as a person. Of course, I am more conservative than him. Of course, I would rather have a rock-ribbed conservative as the leader. But I'm glad he's running, and I don't think he's crooked or sneaky in the way that Patrick Brown showed himself to be. So I sort of like where the race is going. I will be covering the debate today, even though it's going to be a little bit anticlimactic.
Yeah. And to Charest's credit too, Ezra, he always hung around after the previous debates to take questions, whereas some candidates just bolted for the exit. But my friend, what's consuming the oxygen right now? When I was driving into headquarters, I was listening to all the talk radio. Everyone's still leading with the Patrick Brown scandal. And I want to get your take on this, Ezra, because it's so de rigueur for Patrick Brown. There was a pattern here, regardless of where this man is doing his politicking or who he's doing it for. And it's, he breaks the rules. He tries to get away with it. He gets caught. And then when he gets caught, he goes on the offensive saying it's a conspiracy. Everyone's out to get me. I'm the victim here. You're re-victimizing the victim. Of course, he's lawyered up with perhaps the most prominent criminal lawyer in the country, Ezra Marie Heinen. And yet, I'm wondering if that is going to amount to a hill of beans. We've seen previous judgments in the past where judges have said, sorry, a political party, it's like a private company, a private club. They get to set their own rules, even if they've done something undemocratic, as Patrick Brown accuses the CPC of. It doesn't matter. What's your take? Does he have a snowball's chance in hell of getting reinstated into the race by lawyering up like this?
Well, look, no one in the public knows the details of the allegations against him that caused the Conservative Party to disqualify him. You must acknowledge it was quite weird that disqualification happened close to midnight a few days ago. And if Patrick Brown is to be believed, and that's a big if, he claims he didn't know that was coming until he saw it in the media, and he replied even later that night. So we don't know what the allegations are. Were they the allegations that you flushed out in your great investigative work with our young reporter, Lincoln Jay? Or is there something darker? I understand that Elections Canada may be involved. I don't like Elections Canada. I don't really trust them. And as to your question of courts overruling, listen, we want systems to be fair. And if someone spends $300,000 or whatever it was entering a race with certain rules, I think it is in the interest of society that, whatever that contract is, if I pay you $300,000 to run with these rules, those are going to be the fair rules. So I think there is some place for a court to intervene in a party matter. But I do not want to get to the point where unelected, unaccountable judges appointed by who knows who become the deciders for who gets to be a political candidate or not. So I do want the deference to be to the political parties to make up their own rules. And if they make up rules unfairly, let the voters punish them. So I think Patrick Brown, again, I'm putting myself in his shoes, even though I don't support the guy at all. I think he's wise to lawyer up, because I think it's quite likely he hasn't had full due process. And even if he knows he's cooked, and I think he's cooked, I think he would have lost to Pierre Poilievre. I think that he has a hopeless legal appeal, but he wants to show that he's going down fighting. Patrick Brown, I know one thing about him. He's unethical. I think in some ways he's even sociopathic. But he has a work ethic and an ambition that is quite remarkable. And he's being dumped and thrown out time and again, but he seems to bounce back. I think he wants to end his dalliance with the Conservative Party of Canada leadership, going down fighting, so he can later say, well, I never accepted I did anything wrong. Well, I tried to fight, but I was shut out. So I'm going to run for mayor of Thunder Bay, whatever his next move is. I'm going to run for premier of Nova Scotia.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.